to State of the Nation tonight with me, Matt Goodwin. Now, this is a big story in the newspapers today. A French philosopher, a French novelist known for his anti-immigration views, has been banned from entering the UK. Renaud Camus was denied travel authorisation by the Home Office under the new Electronic Travel Authorisation Scheme, and an email response stated, "Your presence in the UK is not considered to be conducive to the public good." Meanwhile, earlier this year, a convicted Syrian terrorist was allowed to stay in the UK after police backed their asylum claim, while 30,000 small-boat illegal migrants, we don't know who they are, we don't know what they believe, we don't know what they've been involved in the past, have crossed into the UK since Keir Starmer and the Labour government came to power. Well, to discuss this case, first of all, I'm joined by columnist and broadcaster Esther Kreiku and journalist and broadcaster Zoe Grunewald. Esther, reading this story, it's a remarkable story about this very important and influential French intellectual being banned from entering the UK. What's your initial reaction?
So this individual is quite interesting because he's the kind of proponent of and the creator of the Great Replacement theory, which is this idea that Western governments, in particular in Europe, have allowed their populations or allowing their populations, their native populations, to be subsumed by immigrants, mainly from Muslim majority countries in North Africa and the Middle East. And the idea behind the Great Replacement is that they're trying to replace their populations. Now, it's a theory, and whether this is their intentional plan is subject to dispute. I do feel a bit sorry for him, though, because he's constantly having to disavow the white nationalists that have decided, that have taken up his theory and have really proposed it. However, so far as where the UK government is concerned, there are many Islamist preachers that actually have to be published in the newspapers before the Home Office decides to ban them from entering the country, that have abhorrent views, that come to this country with impunity to preach, that have been banned from places like the Netherlands and Australia. And I'm surprised that they've taken this view with this individual, which, again, I understand people's objections, but why not other dangerous preachers?
Zoe, what's your take on this?
I think it's right that he doesn't enter. I mean, his views, the Great Replacement theory, is a racist, inciting theory that has been used by terrorists. It's been cited by terrorists, for example, the Christchurch mosque shooter in 2019, the El Paso Walmart shooter, both cited the Great Replacement theory. In
fairness to Camus, though, he would say he strongly disavowed all of that and he opposed all of that.
Of course he would, but it doesn't matter. It positions one group in opposition to another. It's racist, it's violent, and I don't think he has a right to be here to spew his views.
Well, let's talk to the man himself who joins us live on the show. Renaud Camus, welcome to State of the Nation.
Using the internet without a VPN, a virtual private network, is a bit like taking to the road without car insurance. All it takes is one unlucky moment to cost you a lot of cash. This video's sponsor is Private Internet Access. They are the VPN to help keep you safe. Click the link in the description below to find out why over 30 million people have downloaded PIA to protect themselves online. A virtual private network is an app that hides your IP address and helps keep your data private. When you're browsing the internet at home, you give up a large amount of data to businesses, to shops, and indeed to social media giants too. Hackers have the ability to steal your personal data with ease, including sensitive information such as passwords, keystrokes, and even your personal photos. Private Internet Access helps protect your personal data by encrypting your internet connection to keep your data out of the hands of cyber criminals. And it's not just hackers either to be concerned about. Information can be censored too. When Canada passed their C-18 bill, social media giants decided to ban news content on their platforms. But PIA can protect your ability to consume the news and content you love. Private Internet Access is available for Windows users, Mac OS, Android, Linux, iOS, and you can use one PIA subscription to protect an unlimited amount of devices. And we've got a huge GB News discount for you too. Click the link in this video's description and you'll get a massive 83% off PIA. That's under £2 a month, the price of a coffee, and you'll get an extra 4 months completely free on top. Also, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee too. Visit piavpn.com/GB News to start protecting yourself digitally today.
this evening. Thank you for dialing in from France. I would have liked to have had you in the studio to exchange some ideas and discussion with you in person, but of course the Home Office ensured that that was not possible. If we can start perhaps with your initial reaction to this judgment by the Home Office not to allow you into the UK because they consider you to be not conducive to the public good.
Well, I was sort of amused. I very much like England, and of course, in my ID, England has been the country of free speech par excellence. So I thought it's sort of amusing, but I would be banned to say what I might have to say in a conference in England.
If I can ask, Renaud, why do you think you were banned from entering the UK?
Probably because they thought that I was an adversary of what is going on in this country now, which I am very much. I think what is going on in England as what is going on in France or in any of the Western country is a crime. So I disagree very much with all those governments, and it's not surprising that they would consider me an adversary, which I am very much.
An adversary of what? When you refer to what is going on in England and Britain, which you refer to as a crime, can you just elaborate on that? What exactly are you referring to?
Yes, I think what I call the Great Replacement, that is the change of people and civilization, is a crime against humanity of the 21st century. I think it's a horrible thing. It's whatever way we call it, we can be called in other world like genocide by replacement or by substitution or just the change of people and civilization. I think for any government, changing his own people is the worst crime a government can commit.
And obviously there are people, including one of our panelists here on the show, who would say that the idea of the Great Replacement, the theory of the Great Replacement, has been used to enable right-wing extremists or to advocate a sort of a racist view of the world. What would be your response to those critics?
Well, for one thing, there is no such thing as a theory of the Great Replacement. I wish Great Replacement was a theory, but it is not at all. It is a plain fact, and it's a horrible fact, and it is a crime which is committed by people who call it a theory. The word Great Replacement is all over the world now as expression just because it's rightly described what is going on in many countries. And it has, the expression has been used by criminals, but what their crime proves is that they don't know anything about me. Court have established that they didn't even know my name. If they had knew my name, they certainly would not have committed their crime, since my central concept is what I call innocence, non-nonsense, which is a non-violence. I'm a great admirer of Gandhi and people like that, just a resistant to colonialism. And I certainly disagree, the word is almost too feeble, any attack or things like that against mosques or mass crime, evidently, with the utmost conviction.
And if I can, today Conor McGregor, the Irish UFC fighter, has given an interview to an American broadcaster in which he has said that his concerns over the state of Ireland are very much rooted in this issue of mass immigration, and he has said that he feels the Irish people are effectively being replaced. Do you draw a line between your work and what politicians and figures such as Conor McGregor are now saying? Do you see this as being a reflection of your work? And indeed, do you think that Conor McGregor is right when he says that people in Ireland, the Irish, are being replaced?
I don't know much about his personality and his way of thinking on other topics, but on this topic, he's absolutely right. What is going on in Ireland is absolutely horrible, but is also very useful because it is so fast. It is great replacement at a bigger scale. It takes time in a shorter. In England or in France or in Belgium, it has taken about 40 years. In Ireland, the crime of changing the people ends the civilization because one cannot go without another has been taking place in 4 or 5 years. So it's for scientists, I suppose it would be easier to observe it. Everything is bigger, quicker, and more obvious. And any way to protest against that crime is certainly has my total approval.
And what about people who would say that the idea of the Great Replacement has been debunked? The idea that essentially this is more theoretical than something that is practical, that the underlying logic of the idea is riddled with inconsistency, or is an idea that, as I say, has been debunked. That's what lots of critics online would certainly say, including, no doubt, about this interview that we're having with you.
Well, what they call debunked is given numbers and more numbers, and statistics is exactly what has been lying to people the most in the last 50 years. How can it be debunked when it is evident in every street? It is a reality because behind every subject you can debate on TV, whether you speak of drugs, whether you speak of the number of rapes, of women's rights, of overpopulation in prisons, in every subject which is debated on television, the reality behind that is the change of people and civilization. And as far when it is not mentioned on any of these subjects, people are just escaping the reality. Which is why I was very glad to have the occasion to make a conference on the subject at a conference organized by the Homeland Party next week.
If I could just ask you about this exclusion in the UK, this does follow the recent decision to essentially exclude Marine Le Pen from running in the 2027 presidential election in France. We've seen, again, another controversial decision in Romania regarding a candidate who has effectively been blocked from running. We've seen in Germany, the Alternative for Germany be cut out of being part of that governing coalition. Do you see a link between these cases? Do you view what's happened to you in the UK as being perhaps a symptom of a broader problem that is engulfing Europe and indeed the West more generally?
Well, I do think that the utmost reality of the change of people and civilization is the object of the worst denialism today in Europe, of course. It is the main reality. It certainly is the most important thing happening to this country ever in their history. Never in their history is there been such enormous phenomenon that the change of people. It never happened before. And it is what is the object of the worst negationism or denialism, forgive my bad English.
Well, your English is a lot better than my French, and I'd like to thank you for taking the time for joining our show this evening. As I say, we would have liked to have had you in the studio, but perhaps that will be possible in the future. But Renaud Camus, thank you for joining us. Now, I do have a previous statement from the Home Office, which, apologies, this is a current statement from the Home Office. It came through quite late this evening. It said, "It is our long-standing policy not to comment on individual cases." Well, thank you to Renaud. Now,